After every single game, WNBA players, fans, coaches are all complaining about the referees, and they have shown that they're not going to change anything because the referees continue to be horrible.
The FBI starts sniffing around, starts digging around, starts flipping through pages, looking into the WNBA, whether it's the officiating, whether it's the players.
Something just exploded inside the WNBA, and this time, it's not about fans arguing on social media or TV analysts breaking down a controversial call. No, this one cuts much deeper. Referees, actual WNBA officials, have reportedly taken the stand and testified under oath that the league itself had a hand in shaping how certain games were officiated. And according to those sworn statements, the orders didn't come from nowhere. They allegedly came straight from Commissioner Kathy Engelbert's office. Let that sink in for a second. This isn't gossip, it's not speculation, it's official testimony, and with the league's top executive's name allegedly tied directly to the manipulation of game outcomes.
Many WNBA fans are calling out the referee problem.
The referees literally turned their back.
Caitlin Clark appears to be hunted every game. She deals with physicality that no other player in the league is dealing with. The WNBA not stepping in to protect their cash cow, their only draw, their only star, and this is the end result.
At the heart of all this chaos stands Caitlin Clark, the face of the league, the reason arenas are packed, ratings are surging, and new fans are tuning in like never before. She's the player who single-handedly redefined what women's basketball could be. And yet, somehow, she's also been the one taking the hardest hits with the least protection. If you've watched this season and found yourself yelling, "How is that not a foul?" Well, it looks like there might finally be an explanation, but here's where things really escalate. The NBA just saw referees arrested in a gambling investigation. Even Stephen A. Smith openly warned, if the FBI is digging into the NBA, don't be shocked when the WNBA finds itself under that same microscope next.
Why am I glad you're here, Monica? Because don't be surprised if the WNBA is next on his list.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Don't be surprised if the WNBA is next on his list. Yep. Don't be surprised.
This is no longer about missed calls or questionable officiating. This has officially crossed into something far more serious. We're talking about possible federal attention on whether the integrity of the entire league has been compromised. This isn't just a trending story on ESPN. This is the kind of scandal that lands on the desks of federal investigators. When the news broke, it didn't trickle out. It exploded. 3 veteran WNBA referees came forward, calm but confident, with sworn testimony detailing private meetings and internal directives about how games were to be managed. And here's the chilling part. Those orders weren't about protecting players or ensuring fair competition. They were allegedly told to protect the league's image. Translation, don't let one superstar, and we all know exactly who that is, dominate the spotlight. One referee's sworn statement reportedly said it outright. Too much focus on one player damages the league's image. That single sentence should freeze every fan in their tracks. The league wasn't worried about the physicality on the floor, and it was worried about the attention off it. That's not officiating. That's public relations masquerading as game management. And now investigators are paying very close attention.
Stephanie White. She was complaining about her team not getting a whistle, not being respected.
The WNBA isn't just battling a PR issue, it's staring down a full-blown credibility crisis. For over 2 decades, the league prayed for a once-in-a-generation talent who could break barriers and finally put women's basketball on the global map. Then Caitlin Clark showed up, and in less than a single season, she accomplished what marketing teams had been chasing for years. She sold out arenas, she pulled in new fans, she turned casual viewers into diehards and skyrocketed ratings and revenue to heights the league had only dreamed of. But instead of celebrating that momentum, referees now claim the league tried to control it, to tone it down, slow it, or balance the spotlight. Some might label that strategy, others call it exactly what it sounds like: interference with the integrity of competition. Because once fairness is replaced by fear of one player shining too bright, it stops being a league, it becomes a production, it stops being a sport, and turns into scripted programming.
This is a WNBA problem, and as more and more eyeballs are watching this league, it becomes growingly an issue. The officiating feels you never have a true grasp on what it's going to.
Caitlin Clark didn't just join the WNBA, she reshaped it the moment she arrived. Before her debut, the league's energy was steady, respectable, predictable, but once she stepped onto the court, everything shifted. Every arena started to feel like a playoff game overnight. Ticket prices that used to hover around $15 suddenly skyrocketed to $300. Crowds that once drew 8,000 fans were now packing in 18,000. And this wasn't some PR stunt or media hype. This was real, a once-in-a-generation force that pulled people in with sheer star power. But according to these referees, instead of celebrating that gravitational pull, the league tried to resist it, subtly, through officiating. They claimed the message was clear: allow the contact, don't call the fouls, keep the physicality high. Don't give her the whistles. Don't let her rise too far above the rest. The unspoken rule, they say, was simple: don't let Caitlin Clark become bigger than the league itself.
The referees are not listening to them. They're not listening to the coaches. They're not listening to the players. They're not listening to the fans. They're listening to their stakeholders. That's why I keep saying nothing is going to change till the mindset and whoever's running all of this, the stakeholders, governance, whoever these people are.
True greatness always shakes things up. Michael Jordan did it. Serena Williams did it. Tiger Woods did it. Lionel Messi and Tom Brady did it too. Every major sport has been elevated by a once-in-a-lifetime talent who changed everything. That's how progress happens. One transcendent star doesn't damage a league, they define it. But according to these officials, Cathy Engelbert and her inner circle didn't see it that way. They allegedly viewed one superstar's rapid rise as a threat to the league's competitive balance. So rather than embracing her success, they tried to create resistance around it, and the proof was right there on the court. The hits Caitlin Clark took weren't just tough defense. They were open invitations for excessive contact. Forearms, hip checks, shoulder shots. Plays that would draw an instant whistle for anyone else were suddenly ignored. Fans noticed. You didn't have to be an expert to see it. When the whistle conveniently disappears for one player, something deeper is at play.
Caitlin Clark is being roughed up, but the physical wear and tear on Caitlin Clark, I'm not surprised that 2 weeks into the season, she's already got an injury.
And who's sitting courtside through all of it, smiling like everything's perfectly fine? Cathy Engelbert. Calm, collected, completely unfazed, as if the league's brightest star wasn't being hammered every night on national TV. As if we weren't watching obvious fouls magically transform into great defense the moment Caitlin Clark had the ball in her hands. As if maintaining balance somehow meant punishing excellence. This isn't simple mismanagement, it's arrogance baked into the system. A mindset that says, we know better than the fans, better than the players, better than the game itself. That's not leadership, that's control. Because here's the thing, when you're sitting on a rocket, you don't grab the wheel and try to steer it. You hold on and let it take you somewhere you've never been before.
2024 was a year of unprecedented growth in viewership in the WNBA, a substantial amount of which can be attributed to Caitlin Clark, who took the basketball world by storm after an all-time college career.
Who had appeared in 185 consecutive games between her career at Iowa and her time with the Indiana Fever. 139 games with the Iowa Hawkeyes. She never missed one.
Through it all, Caitlin Clark stayed silent. No complaints, no drama, no cryptic posts on social media. She just kept playing, taking the hits, brushing them off, and doing exactly what true stars do, letting her game speak louder than the noise. While others allegedly worked behind the scenes to slow her rise, Caitlin stayed professional. The one person who refused to play politics is now the one paying for everyone else's fear. But those days of secrecy are over. These testimonies didn't disappear into a drawer. They climbed the ladder fast. Ethics investigators are now watching closely, and the questions being asked aren't for PR statements. They're the kind that demand answers under oath. Were officials told to influence games? Were certain players targeted? Did league leadership try to control outcomes instead of letting competition play out naturally? Those aren't media rumors anymore. That's a full-scale governance review.
Referees just exposed their hand so bad, bro. I mean, they just didn't care no more. They didn't care. The world was watching how bad the cause was. They didn't care at all. They was going to get their issue off against the Fever no matter what. And I'm here to tell you, that's exactly what went down, bro. They have an agenda against Caitlin Clark.
And if these allegations turn out to be true, this won't end with a carefully worded apology or a promise to do better. It ends with accountability, people losing their jobs, policies being rewritten, and full transparency taking over officiating. It ends with a commissioner's legacy collapsing under the weight of their own insecurity. It ends not with a PR fix, but with a full rebuild of trust. Because once fans start questioning a league's fairness, everything falls apart. No one spends their time, money, or passion on a sport they believe is scripted. Caitlin Clark's arrival was the greatest gift the WNBA could have ever received. A once-in-a-generation phenomenon who brought excitement, money, and global attention. All the league had to do was step aside and protect her the way every major sport protects its brightest star. Instead, if these sworn statements hold up, leadership allegedly chose image control over integrity, punishing their own miracle for rising too fast, shining too bright, and changing the game too soon.
Caitlin Clark, somebody who was responsible for 26.5% of all WNBA economic activity last season, including revenue from merchandise, ticket sales, and television.
Greatness doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't wait in line. It doesn't play small to make others comfortable. It rises, and in doing so, lifts everything around it. And any league that tries to contain that kind of power isn't protecting its future. It's running from it. If investigators uncover evidence, messages, meeting notes, or consistent patterns, this could explode into the biggest scandal the WNBA has ever seen. This won't be a temporary PR storm, it'll be a full reckoning. Those referees lit the fuse with their sworn testimonies, and once the truth makes it into the record, there's no whistle loud enough to silence it. This story won't vanish in a week. It's the defining moment where the WNBA learns that you can't control a phenomenon without destroying what made it special. And while league officials scramble to protect their image, Caitlin Clark will keep doing what she's always done. Play the game with brilliance, elevate everyone around her, and let the truth speak louder than she ever needs to.
The referees just exposed their hand so bad, bro. I mean, they just didn't care no more. They didn't care. The world was watching how bad the cause was. They didn't care at all. They was going to get their issue off against the Fever no matter what. And I'm here to tell you, that's exactly what went down, bro. They have an agenda against Caitlin Clark.
The timing of all this couldn't be more explosive. This isn't some quiet controversy flying under the radar. It's erupting while the entire basketball world is already under intense scrutiny. The NBA is neck deep in gambling scandals, referee arrests, and serious questions about integrity. And now, right when the spotlight burns hottest, the WNBA has stepped straight into the frame at the absolute worst possible time. Because when one league faces accountability, every league connected to it comes under the same microscope. Oversight doesn't stop at the NBA logo. It spreads outward. So when federal investigators see sworn testimony, questionable officiating, and a pattern of suspicious play, they don't call it coincidence. They call it a warning sign. And right now, the WNBA is waving one as big as a championship banner. This isn't just about one league protecting its image. It's about the entire sport fighting to protect its integrity. Here's the irony. Kathy Engelbert was supposed to be the face of stability. She talked endlessly about partnerships, expansion, and visibility, all the corporate buzzwords. But stability built on manipulated outcomes and image control isn't leadership, it's illusion, because real trust in sports isn't earned through PR campaigns or boardroom deals. It's earned where it matters most, on the court. And right now, that trust is hanging by a thread.
It's the Caitlin Clark disrespect. And what I mean by that is you've got somebody who is obviously the most popular player in basketball. You got somebody that I would argue maybe a top 5 most popular athlete in the United States of America. All right. You got this athlete in a league that nobody's been watching, never turned a profit, and your system is broken against that team.
When someone with the reach and influence of Stephen A. Smith weighs in, you know it's no longer a niche issue. One comment from him flipped the entire tone of the conversation, and he didn't tiptoe around it. He said it clearly on national TV. Don't be surprised if the WNBA is next. That wasn't casual commentary. That was a warning, a signal to everyone watching that this isn't some internet conspiracy. This is serious enough to warrant a real investigation, and whether he intended to or not, Stephen A. just linked the WNBA's officiating controversy to the larger crisis surrounding basketball's integrity as a whole. Now the spotlight's burning brighter. The public is watching. The feds might be too. And right in the middle of the storm, there's Caitlin Clark. Calm, focused, unbothered. While executives scramble behind closed doors and lawyers whisper in back rooms, she keeps doing what she's always done, playing basketball. No bitterness, no cryptic posts, no finger pointing, just professionalism and poise. And that's the ultimate irony. The youngest star in the league is showing the maturity its own leaders seem to have lost.
There's a committee for stakeholders, coaches, governors, and general managers, and that is saying what style of basketball they want to allow, and the referees are following that law.
Was Kathy Engelbert really courtside wearing a dress plastered with the New York skyline? That wasn't neutral. That wasn't professional. They shut money, and it definitely wasn't the look of a commissioner trying to project impartiality. It looked like loyalty, loud and clear. Now, with new testimony coming to light, that outfit doesn't just seem tone deaf. It feels symbolic, because a commissioner's job is to be unseen, unbiased, and fiercely protective of the league's integrity. But in that moment, she didn't look like a leader. She looked like a fan with authority. And suddenly, every whistle from that series is being re-examined under a different light. This isn't just about one controversial outfit. It's about the erosion of trust at the very top. Can players trust they won't be targeted? Can coaches trust that strategy decides games, not politics? Can fans trust that what they're watching is real competition and not curated entertainment? If the answer to any of those is no, then the WNBA doesn't just face a problem, it faces collapse.
But at the same time, the Fever were on the wrong end of some whistles, it seemed, in this game, and it's seemingly been that way for much of the season, and it's been a recurring theme where there's a level of physicality allowed against them, and they're not allowed to reciprocate on the other end. That particularly, of course, goes for Caitlin Clark.
So what happens if investigators actually prove that referees were told to manage results instead of calling games fairly? If that turns out to be true, Kathy Engelbert's time as commissioner is over. There won't be any graceful exit or polished farewell speech. She'll either resign or be removed. The WNBA would have no choice but to rebuild its officiating system from the ground up, with independent reviews, outside oversight, and genuine transparency. Not catchy slogans or PR spin, but real accountability. And this time, those changes won't be optional. They'll be demanded by players, fans, and sponsors alike. But here's the sad part. Caitlin Clark never asked to be in the center of this storm. She didn't want favoritism, just fairness. She didn't expect special treatment, only the same rulebook as everyone else. Yet somehow, she became the face of a league experiment in image control, and she handled it with more professionalism than the people paid to lead the league. So now the question writes itself. Should Kathy Engelbert still be leading a league she's clearly lost control of? Or is it time for leadership that values competition over image, integrity over influence, and truth over PR narratives? Because if you believe basketball should be decided by the players on the court, not executives in the office, then the answer is already clear. This isn't a time for silence. It's a time for accountability, and that starts at the very top. Do you think federal investigators will uncover something real? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, and check out the video on your screen. We'll see you next time.